Every spring, millions of children around the world wait for a mysterious creature, a rabbit, that quietly appears at night, leaving behind colorful eggs, candy, and even gifts hiding in baskets prepared just for it. But there is one question almost nobody ever asks: why does the rabbit lay eggs? And here is where it becomes even stranger. The creature we call the Easter Bunny never appears in the Bible. It was never a part of early Christianity, and yet nowadays it has become one of the most recognizable symbols of the holiday. If we trace the story back, the history of the rabbit is far more unsettling than it seems. In ancient Rome, the statesman Julius Caesar once noted that certain animals were considered taboo among the people of Britain, and the hare was one of them. This suggests that even in ancient times, rabbits were just animals, but something carried deeper meaning. Going back even further, archaeological evidence from Neolithic jewelry reveals something even more unusual. Hair remains, have been in human graves, not discarded randomly, but positioned in a way that suggests the racial significance, as if the hair was connected to death, transition, and even whatever lies beyond. Over time, this symbolism began to evolve. By the early medieval period, some scholars suggested that Easter might be connected to a much older spring festival, possibly linked to a figure known as Yorster, a goddess associated with renewal and dawn. Some claim that the hare was her sacred animal, representing life and rebirth. But there is little solid evidence to support this idea, and much of it appears to be later speculation. At the same time, the story began to spread that seemed to explain everything. According to this version, the goddess transformed the bird into a hare, and the hare, retained the ability to lay eggs. It sounds convincing, but in reality, the story does not come from ancient mythology. It only appears in written records in the 19th century, long after the tradition had already existed, meaning the explanation was created after the fact. Meanwhile, in the medieval jewelry, the image of the hare was taken on a darker tone. In folklore, hares are often associated with witchcraft, and people believe that witches could shaped into hares, moving silently through the night, stealing milk from farms or bring misfortune. Some stories even claim that these creatures could not be killed by ordinary weapons, and that only silver could harm them. A belief that later appeared in the legends about werewolves and other supernatural beings. In 1662, a Scottish woman named Isabella Gowdy gave a detailed confession during a witch trial, claiming that she could transform into animals, including hair, and describing how she moved, hid, and escaped in that form. These records still exist today, adding another layer of mystery to the image of the hare. In medieval churches in northern Europe, hares appear in murals and carvings, sometimes in symbolic forms that remain difficult to interpret. But what then becomes even more fascinating is what happens when we look beyond Europe, because across completely different cultures, the same animal keeps appearing in China. The rabbit is closely associated with the moon. The jade rabbit is said to live in the lunar policy, endlessly preparing an elixir of immortality. And in Buddhist traditions, the rabbit becomes the symbol of sacrifice and rebirth. Wow, In Mesoamerican cultures, people also saw the shape of a rabbit in the patterns of the moon, linking it to cosmic cycles. These cultures developed independently, yet they all connected the rabbit to the same core ideas: life, death, and renewal. And then there is something even more mysterious. Across Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia, a strange symbol known as three hairs appears in, ancient architecture, showing three rabbits arranged in a circle, sharing years, yet also appearing as whole. This symbol can be traced from China through Central Asia into European churches, likely spanning along, the Silk Road. But its true meaning remains unknown. Some believe it represents a circle of life, others say it as a symbol of time, or something that endlessly repeats. When all of these pieces are put together, a pattern begins to emerge. Across cultures and across centuries, the rabbit seems to exist on the boundary between the life and death, and this aligns almost perfectly with the central theme of Easter, resurrection. Then, in the 17th century, Germany, a new story appears: a creature known as Osterhase, where the Easter hare was said to lay eggs for children during Easter. But originally, it was not just a gift giver, it was a judge. It observed the children and decided who was good and who was not. If you behaved well, you will be rewarded, and if not, you got nothing. A symbol of life combined with a symbol of a resurrection, brought together without a clear, logic, and yet somehow it worked. In the 18th century, German immigrants brought this tradition to America, where children began preparing nests and waiting for the hare to leave eggs. Over time, the darker elements faded. The judge became a mascot. By the 19th and 20th centuries, commercial forces, transformed everything. Chocolate rabbits were mass-produced. Easter eggs become products, and department stores introduced constant Easter bunnies. Even the White House adopted Easter egg traditions. What was once strange and weird symbol becomes something simple, something friendly, something marketable. Today, we rarely question it. We see the candy, the eggs, and the smiling rabbit, and we accept it without thinking. But if you look closely, this rabbit never had a single clear origin. It wasn't born from the one myth, nor rooted in one religion. It was built piece by piece from human beliefs about life, death, and rebirth, layered across the centuries and cultures until eventually we gave it a name, the Easter Bunny. So, what do you think about our story? If you find our story interesting, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.